Welcome into Sports Talk with Theo Dorsey. South Georgia, let's talk sports. Deerfield-Windsor's football team has won 4 state titles since its inception in 1970. All 4 have been under Alan Lowe, the son of the Knights' inaugural head coach, Graham Lowe. Now, Alan picked up many qualities from his father, none more prevalent to the bare eye than simply winning football games. On this episode, we welcome Alan Lowe into the studios to uncover just how he does it. Welcome into the show, Coach Lowe, and of course you saw that video. So many different things you've done at Deerfield. How are you enjoying yourself today?
It's been a hot week. Unfortunately, you know, the temperature doesn't seem to drop, even though we're in mid-October right now. But it's been a hot week, but a good week.
Of course, very hot week. Good week, though, and of course you're preparing for a football game. But before we get into what you got going right now, I want to take the people through a tour of what your coaching history looked like and where you started off at. So let's take a look. You didn't start at Deerfield. You had an assistant job before you got there, but you became your first head coaching job at Deerfield in 1987. And through those 8 seasons there, a bit of a humbling time, especially if you consider what you did afterwards. But this was your start. Can you talk about what it was like there with the Knights, your first stint?
You know, when I first came in, we had 21 players my first year as the head coach. In fact, some of those guys that I coached are actually, I have sons that are playing on at Deerfield now. And it was a great moment for me to get a chance, but then it was humbling. I went through a couple of years of only winning 2 games. Made me question if this is what I wanted to do. And so those first 8 years, but then we had some great fun times and a lot of great kids I got a chance to be around.
Of course, and one bright spot in there, the diamond in the rough, 1992, you went 11-1. Lost in the quarterfinals, but that was a big time year. What did you find in your team? I think that was a little later in your
well, we had a real good senior class that has stuck with us and really persevered. And in fact, the team that beat us that year, Southland, went on to win it, and we had beaten them early in the year. We just happened to get the matchup, and we lost a close game in that playoff game. But that was a great group. I do wish I had that bunch back because I really thought we could do a lot more. And but all those years helped prepare me for down the line.
Right, and that prepared you, that first job prepared you for what you went on to do later on. Your next stop was at not at Southland, in Savannah at Calvary Day. From 95 to 2000, you were the head coach out there. 6 seasons, 47-22. You had a region championship in 96, a 10-win season in 99, and that bottom one, I bet you're proud of, no losing seasons. You talked about those two-win seasons with Deerfield. What clicked out there in Savannah?
Well, you know, we hit a great opportunity there. My dad had gone to be over there, and he brought me in, and there was some talent there. They just needed some direction, and they needed some structure, and it was a great group of kids. We loved the football around there. I had one great group, may have been one of my best teams ever, that we actually played some great competition, and it was a fun time. The football, I still try to stay in contact with some of them. Mm-hmm. The offensive coordinator at Benedictine is played quarterback for me for a couple of years there. So there's some great memories from Calvary.
Right, I bet a lot of your former players as well as people you've coached with are all throughout South Georgia. And for you, home is where the heart is. After your stint there, you said, I'm going to bring it back to Albany, Deerfield-Windsor, where you started, and that's where you find yourself now. How easy was that decision for you to get back to Deerfield?
Well, the timing, in fact, the timing was not right earlier than that, but that year it happened that the timing came right, that Jimmy Fields decided to leave Deerfield, and Gordy and WT called me and wanted to know if I wanted to come back, and so the timing was right for us to come back to South Georgia. My wife was from here as well, and everything just seemed to just fall right in place for our family.
Right, it flowed for you. In 2001, you made your return, and you did some damage at Deerfield in your second stint, as compared especially to that first stint. Let's take a look at some of those numbers that were just up earlier. I believe 161-54 through 16.5 season. Of course, this season not completely finished yet. 4 GISA state championships, 60-9 from 2008 to 2012, 5 straight region crowns in that span. What was that like, being in the midst of a storm where you guys were just running through the GISA?
Well, you know, anytime you go on a good run, it's fun. But it really marked a great time for us at Deerfield, because the Macon schools have kind of dominated our league. And through those years, all of a sudden, none of the Macon schools wanted to come to Albany and play Deerfield, and it happened through the playoffs as well. And so we hit a great run, had some great kids, great athletes, and it just led to fun Friday nights.
Well, you had a lot of fun Friday nights. You probably remember a lot of things. I want to see if you're going to remember this. A quick blast from the past. Coach, tell me, I'm going to show you this soundbite, and I want you to tell me what this was from.
This bunch really did a good job of focusing in. Really, the 13-0 is just now starting to be where we're starting to think about it more, because when you get through the season, it's talking about just winning one game on Friday night, and then it just this year just happened to accumulate.
It was probably the best feeling in the world, honestly. We've worked hard all year. After being upset last year by George Walton, we got beat 42-24. It was just hard work paid off.
Do you remember that?
Well, it's 2010, and we did run the table that year, and there were a lot of close games, and we played a lot of kids, and a lot of the guys that were seniors on that team, on the 2008 team, had gotten some playing time, and so they learned how to win watching these older guys, and then that's kind of just fed off itself.
Of course it did, and then of course you guys won actually the team of the year for WAOB that year as well, so not just a big year for you guys within the state, but also for us to give you guys that honor. I'm sure it was a great year all around, right?
It was. We had a lot of fun, and we do have a lot of memories from that.
Right. Now, I got one more blast from the past for you. Actually, before we get to that, because I want to hold you in suspense with that one, I want you to talk to me about, I mean, for me as a journalist, obviously there's many different ventures you can get into. As a coach, there's also many different ventures you can get into. You coach track, basketball, baseball, football. What's the unifying force that you realize, okay, yes, it's a different sport, there's different rules, but if I do this correctly, I can produce winning?
Well, it's amazing that coaching, you learn from all types of coaches. Paul Eames was my baseball coach growing up. I learned a lot from Paul Eames. Cleve Wester, who was in Albany. I learned a lot of football, and I learned from Gordy Gruhl, watching him practice basketball. And the techniques of coaching, how you break things down, they go from one sport to the next. And if you stop learning, then you might as well get out. And right now, I'm still learning from people I work with.
Of course, you're learning from people you worked with, and also you're also teaching. Can you speak to, do you have any former players that have gone off to coach other places, or former coaches that have gone places? Just give a couple name drops as you did with some of the mentors or some people you kind of handed down to. Well,
you know, I mentioned Baker Woodward, who played quarterback for me at Calvary, but also the head coach at Benedictine, Danny Britt, played for my dad in Camilla, but he coached for me at Calvary. And so me and him stay in contact a lot. But I got some guys that are out there that are coaching as well, Matthew Meeks and Kevin Prezant. And then I've got a guy that's with me here today that you'll be talking to that he's gone into coaching. And then I've got a son who's planning on going into coaching as well. And couldn't quite talk him out of it, but he's up in Georgia right now working on that situation.
Okay, yeah, there you go. You're building yourself a legacy there. You're branching that tree out. Let's get one more blast from the past. We're going to listen to this soundbite. You tell me, this one you're going to really like. You tell me if you remember.
You know, they're all
Do you remember? Okay, we're gonna talk. Let's talk about that. Do you remember that moment? What year was that for you?
Well, this is 2008, and now we had beaten Tatton on the state semifinals, which Ashton was the one that poured that water on me, by the way. And we beat them in the state semifinals, and this was the finals against Westfield, and we had to play 2 mud bowls that year against them. And that game that night, it was mighty muddy, and so the water didn't bother me. It was still kind of a warm night, even though it was late in the year.
Of course. Well, you know what, Coach? I got a quick trivia question for you because we have trivia after the break. You're the winningest coach in program history at Deerfield-Windsor. Do you know which coach had the best winning percentage at the school?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of because I
give a guess. Give a good guess.
I'll go with not Fields. Oh crud! It was before Jimmy Fields.
You had it. It was
Walters. Jeff Walters.
No, it's actually Jimmy Fields.
Jimmy Fields did. Okay.
He had 2 years. Through his 2 years, 18-6, went 75% right there. So.
And he's coaching at Trinity Dublin, and so. He's still in our league.
Yeah, he's still. So you're playing up against him. Let's take a look at Jimmy Fields. When we come back, we'll have trivia as Mike Fussell joins the show, and I'll try to beat Coach Lowe. Welcome back. We've still got the winningest coach in Deerfield history, Coach Lowe, with us in the studio, but we wanted to show you a different side of him.
That's right, Theo. We met up with him at practice to see just how he prepares for a Friday night. Take a look.
Scout out, let's go, first tee.
On a hop, the Knights are preparing to play under the lights. And as the bell tolls, the squad at Deerfield-Windsor starts to rock and roll. But the winning symphony is one of whistles, yells, and grunts, composed by a man who has been coaching for decades.
Kind of grew up with it. My dad was a high school coach, so he coached me, and I guess I always knew I probably would go into follow him through this rigor.
And each footstep Alan Lowe has followed has made him even better at what he does.
You learn from people that come before you, and you learn a little bit from whether it was my dad or a guy named Cleve Wester, Paul Leames. We start naming a lot of guys and that I've enjoyed learning from.
And while learning is important, putting it all to the test is what Lowe says he enjoys most.
The most rewarding part is Friday nights, and still being under the lights on Friday nights. Nobody better ever change it, because high school football, that's what it's all about.
And with every touchdown, that feeling is confirmed. But borrowing a page from Socrates,
once you start thinking you know it all, you might as well retire.
The only true wisdom is knowing you have more to learn. And in Lowe's case, new plays to draw up and players to inspire.
All right, and that brings us to the trivia portion of our show. We like to call it Theo versus everyone, because Theo takes on every coach we have on, so welcome, Coach Lowe. And how it works is simple. We ask trivia questions. You guys have to buzz in first to answer, and if you get it right, you get a ball. The person with the most at the end wins. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, of course.
All right, let's do it. We'll get right into it. All right, and these are this or that questions. You can choose one or the other. What were NFL players required to wear in games for the first time in 1943? Helmets? That was a tie. We'll give it to our guest. Helmets or jersey numbers?
I'm going to go with helmets.
Yep, you're right.
Man.
It's helmets.
Okay.
You get the first ball of the game, first blood, first strike. It's good. Fast on the draw, too. All right, in the night, this is kind of out there. In the 1995 Las Vegas Bowl, Toledo beat Nevada 40-37. Was this the first time a D1 college team won by a field goal or in overtime?
Overtime.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Let's get it.
All right, good job, guys. It's tied up now.
I'll let you have one.
Everyone gets one.
Yeah, of course, of course.
All right, more than 50,000 runners now compete in the New York Marathon. How many ran in the 1970 inaugural race? Was it 1,300 or 130?
We're going 130.
That's right. 130 grown to 50,000.
That's crazy.
All right, so these questions are rapid fire questions. Now you guys have to come up with the answer. I'm not going to give you choices. Which two bowl games will make up the college football playoff semifinals?
That's going to make the Rose and the Sugar.
That's right.
Man.
You got it.
Okay.
He's quick, and he's
quick.
piling up. He's mounting a good lead
That's
here.
quick. But I came back last week. I'll come back again.
We'll see.
We're going to make it
see.
happen.
We only have a couple. Well, we have enough questions for
Yeah.
you to come back.
Yeah.
All right. Which Georgia college football team left the SEC in 1964?
Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Come on, Coach.
He's quick. He doesn't have much real estate left in this
you know
jar.
what? I got you. I got you. No more nice guy. No more nice guy.
All right. What is the high jump technique called where the jumper clears the bar head first and backwards?
Fosbury flop.
Yep.
Come on. Nah, hold on a second. He's a track coach.
I high jumped in high school, believe it or not.
There you go. Okay.
I know,
Well,
I know you don't
covered
believe
track,
that.
too. All right, that brings us to the halfway point here. And if you just take a look here, this kind of tells the story. I think there's a chance for you to come back, but you're going to have to do really well.
I'll try.
All right, we'll see if that happens after the break here. Welcome back. We got Coach Lowe here from Deerfield-Windsor playing trivia right now, Theo versus everyone, and we've done the math. Theo can still tie it, but we've also done the math, and Coach might need to take one of Theo's balls here if he keeps doing so well. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
All right, we'll get right into it. What was Miami quarterback Bob Greasy the first NFL player to wear in a game in 1977?
Hand warmer.
No.
That's dumb.
A try?
Bob Greasy. All right, we're going to say mouthpiece.
Nope. Glasses. More glasses.
So
All
it's
right.
over. But we can keep going. We're
We'll
going to keep going.
You can't really win.
I'll
but
make it close.
Now you're playing for pride.
There we go.
All right, where will the next Summer Olympic Games be held?
Ooh, not Russia. 20?
No.
I know this. I want to say London. That's not
All
it, though.
right.
20? 20. London. I
No,
forgot.
it's not London.
I want to say it's in Brazil, but I'm not sure.
Brazil was the
Tokyo.
last Rio.
That's
it's
where it's
Tokyo
right.
2020.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and we're at the last question here. This is going to be worth 2 points. Where will the GISA season state football finals?
You can have it.
Yeah,
You can have it. You can have it.
And Mercer.
Yes, that's right.
we go.
5-star stadium in Mercer. We'll give you 2 balls there.
I'll just.
You didn't have to
You got
take
me.
any from you, so I think that's a win
That's
in
a
your
win.
book somehow.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll
But
take
good
it.
job, Coach. You guys, I like the
Well
fight out
played.
here.
Well played.
Definitely so. Well, you know what? It seemed unfair. It was a track question. He's a track coach. We'll discuss that later after the show. But don't go anywhere, because right after this, you saw the kid that dumped the ice water on Coach's head. Yeah, he's going to join us. Ashton Pace now on Coach Lowe's coaching staff, and we'll talk to the both of them right after the break. Welcome back to the show. Right now we have 2 coaches for the price of 1. Ashton Pace joins the show. He's the defensive backs coach for Deerfield-Windsor, and of course Alan Lowe. You saw him whip me up real good in trivia. I'm still hurting from that one, but these 2 guys together right now are coaching the Deerfield Knights. You guys have a winning season right now, 5-3, looking good. Before we get into how the team's going right now, Ashton, I got to ask you. You played for them. You're coaching with them. What kind of guys is that we're standing with now?
Well, I mean, he was always a guy I looked up to. Way he treats people, way he does coaches, way he does things. It's kind of one of the big reasons I got into this field.
Right, now you, to give people your history, you played for them, you graduated from high school in 2009 from Deerfield-Windsor. You went off to college, you went to Darden, as well as you went to, what was the second college you went to? North Georgia?
University of North Georgia.
University of North Georgia, and then from there, you got into coaching after you graduated. You started off in Lumpkin.
Yes, sir.
And then what drew you to come back to Albany and coach with Coach Lowe?
Well, I kind of always want to come back to Albany. Just family's here, have a lot of roots here, and love it here. But it kind of happened quicker than I expected, but opportunity came, and I just wanted to make sure I took advantage of it.
Now, Coach Lowe, I got to ask you, now that this guy's on your staff, what's the difference? Has he matured since when you probably had to yell a lot at him when he was playing, or are you still yelling at him the same now?
Oh, no. He's going to be a very successful football coach, and he does a great job. And yes, he's matured. I mean, he'll tell you he walked to Dawson one day without, on flip-flops, just for the fun of it. But we won't get into that. But no, Ashton does a great job, and we're so thankful to have him on staff.
Of course, and now that you guys are kind of working together, I mean, are you starting to kind of understand why Coach Lowe did some of the things he did when you were playing for him?
For sure. Like, I used to we'd put in these plays throughout the season. As a player, I'd get frustrated. Why don't we always run them? Why don't we always run them? Why don't we always run them? But now, from starting to watch film and stuff, I see a reason for the patience and waiting for the right moment to break out some of those plays.
Right, and speaking for waiting of the right moment, of course, you probably have your ambition to go off and lead your own team one day. What are you picking up right now as a coach now that you are on staff from Coach Lowe that is going to help you do that one day?
There's a lot of things. Just how you go about the business on a daily routine of how you do things and how you treat people, how you treat players, how you do all the little things that sometimes go unnoticed.
Right, of course. And right now, you guys, I want to talk a little bit now about the Knights, since we do have a lot of time because you beat me so fast in trivia. You guys right now are doing pretty well in the region. The ball is in your court right now. If you win out, you can win region. You got Valwood coming up next. Now I'm going to give you a little practice, almost as if the head coach. I'll ask you, what's one of the things that scares you right now about Valwood that you guys need to make sure you shore up on Friday night?
They're going to come in with a lot of energy, and they'll come in ready to go. They're playing. It's a big game for them too, and they have to make sure they're prepared. And so we've had a good week, but we got to be sure to match their energy level.
Of course, you're gonna match your energy level, and then Coach Lowe, what you got? Don't give out the game plan because they're probably watching. But what do you got planned to go against the Valiants?
It comes down to this time. There's not many secrets, and we've played against them so many times now in the past few years. But it's all about execution, not turning the ball over, and then, like you said, play with energy, and then hopefully one or two things may bounce our way, and if it does, we'll have a great night.
Of course, and then you guys will be at home. Can you talk about it? You played in it and coached in it. What is that home field advantage like at Webb Memorial?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's just a big deal to play in front of your fans. You kind of take a little pride of being able to protect your home field, and it's always good not to get on a bus.
Yeah, of course, not to have to get on that bus. And you'll hope, if things go right for you guys, you'll send the Valiants on the bus home with a loss. You guys right now doing well right now, again, undefeated in the region. We'll stay tuned in and watch those guys as they continue on their journey. We'll hopefully have Ashton on later on in this year or in future years as a head coach. And will you accept that invite to come back on the show?
For sure.
Go
For
easy
sure.
on me in the trivia. That's my only request. Thank you guys so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Theo. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, and good luck for the rest of the season. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk. Thank you for watching.